All right, welcome back to TCI headquarters. Well, I was going to say last edition of Tuesday Tiger Talk, but we actually have one more next week because we do have a championship game. But biggest week of the year, we say that a lot. The coaches say that a lot. This week they mean it, Davis. You got your rivalry game. Doesn't matter whether you're from in-state or not. You kind of pick up a little bit on that. We are going to discuss all the interviews we had today, and Davis, I guess we'll start with the coordinators. Let's start with Streeter. Obviously, a little bit better performance from the offense this week. Still some things to work on. What are some of the things you heard?
Well, turnovers continue to be a massive
this is the first
issue.
week?
Yeah, I know, right?
Gosh.
Yeah, it was funny actually hearing DJ talk. He was like, "Yeah, we've had some turnover issues last couple games." I was like,
Yes.
little more than that, but yeah, that's a big deal. Then also there's just so much to talk about just the tight end involvement and how big a part they've been of this offense. Because I mean, outside of Antonio Williams, there really hasn't been a whole lot to speak of at receiver as far as consistency, and they don't target them that often. I mean, it's more Davis Allen and Jake Brenningstool, and obviously coming off the game that they had, or that group had collectively against Miami, 8 combined catches. Davis Allen is, he just continues to look like this next level prospect.
How many catches did the receivers have?
It's a good question.
Probably not much more than that, right?
Yeah. So the fact that I don't know that tells you how little they're throwing to him and how small their stats are at this point. But just a lot of talk about some of that, and they're, this offense is, it's at least the last 2 or 3 weeks it's been the same story. Like, we've been able to move the ball, we're killing ourselves with turnovers, and that's, I mean, when you have, it was crazy to look up at the beginning of the fourth quarter and that still be a 2-possession game after Miami scored on the very short field they got after DJ's most recent fumble. So I mean, it's really not that complicated for them. Yeah. I mean, it's, do what you have to, particularly at home, where obviously you execute a lot better, and it's not, you don't have to deal with the noise when you have the ball like you do on the road. So, take care of the ball, and good things didn't happen.
It's still the elusive 4 quarters we've talked about, right? Came out 21-0, boom, boom, boom. It's like, oh, this is gonna be the game. We might see 40s or 50s, and Miami is not a good team, so you kind of felt like, okay, this is going to roll, and then, boom, just stops.
This offense just can't handle prosperity, it seems like, which I wrote about after the game. Yeah. So.
All right, let's go to the other side of the ball. The big theme to me that stood out, and obviously I didn't actually get to hear Wes today, so you did.
Mickey talked today.
Oh, Mickey,
Wes.
well,
Mickey Conn,
see, I didn't. Yeah. You didn't get to hear Wes either.
No, nobody heard
Wes. I did hear some of the defensive players. I mean, the big theme is the linebacker play.
Yeah. They continue to, I guess Barrett Carter moved back in, played more inside again, and basically they say the same things really almost every week. Like, he's a guy we can put anywhere, but his long-term, future is at inside linebacker. And, I think, just my opinion, I think that's been the most consistent part of this defense all year, is the second level, which is kind of ironic because that was the biggest question coming into the season. What are they going to do without guys like James Skalski and Balen Spector? Now, obviously, from an athleticism standpoint, it's at a totally different level. But, these are still, I mean, Barrett Carter first year as a full-time starter. Trenton Simpson moving from that Will position, or the Sam position over to Will inside. How are they going to handle that? I think it's been even better. Maybe I know they had high expectations for those guys just because of the kind of players and athletes that they are. But I think just overall, it's probably been even better than they thought it would be.
Well, and Simpson moving back last week, you got to like those results.
Yeah.
Because he had a monster game.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that's I don't think that's an area that defense that they're concerned about. And really, the defense overall, I think, has played better the last few weeks, and they still go up the explosives every once in a while, and that's going to be interesting to see against the South Carolina offense, which just came out of nowhere last week, just explosives all over the place. So
and with some of the things we've seen from the secondary this year, some of that was injury related.
Yeah.
That front seven is going to be huge this week. Can they get in there and get enough pressure quick enough?
Yeah.
And that's going to be the question: is how quick can you get the pressure?
Yeah, and that's really, I think that's been a question that's lingered all year, just because this front four, again, as we've talked about throughout the course of the season, they just haven't consistently been able to to get pressure. And it's been better the last couple weeks. I think they had 5 sacks last week, but again, a lot of that is because you're blitzing, and it's those linebackers.
Well, that's why I said 7 instead of 4. Now you got the combination that seems a little more lethal. DJ, you wrote on this today. You were the one that asked the question. I was sitting there listening, going, "Is anybody going to ask this question?" And talk a little bit about what you wrote about there.
Yeah, so I just asked him. It's obviously the end of his 3rd year is quickly approaching, and obviously, if you're eligible to declare for the draft, if you're 3 years removed from high school, so he's a guy that former 5-star recruit and multi-year starter now at quarterback. Is he going to ask him if he's made a decision on his future and whether he's going to come back for another year? And he said, "I have no clue."
Yeah.
So
which is kind of what you expected him, but it needed to be asked.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's his answer publicly. Privately, I don't. Is there more to that? I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody, so I'm not going to sit here and speculate on if he's leaning one way or the other. But he says he hadn't made a decision. He's just as you said, sort of the generic answer you would expect. I'm focused on South Carolina and these next couple games. He said, whatever happens after the year.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that was what you expect. But there are times like Putnam, where they just come out and say, "Hey, we're sitting here in November. I already know I'm coming back." So. I'll let you know that. So a little bit of drama there for the next month.
And I think that's interesting because I know we've talked about this some off camera, but I mean he's been better this year, but has he done enough? Because he still had obviously it's been inconsistent with him, particularly in the second half of the year. Has he done enough to really elevate his stock to the point where he would like it, which would be a top 2-3 round draft pick? I don't know about that.
I'm not an NFL scout, but I wouldn't see how he has. But sometimes they go by measurables and other things. And
combine guys, as they like
we'll
to say.
see what they say there. All right, guys, we are going to have a ton of stuff headed your way all week long. We're already stacking up a ton of content from the interviews. We're doing this on Monday because we're both traveling, so we won't be able to get together tomorrow afternoon. So we will have, of course, Dabo covered tomorrow and more stuff headed your way. So biggest week of the year. Stay tuned to the Clemson Insider. We'll have the most complete coverage of Clemson football.
Hey Clemson fans, make sure to check out Clemson Insider for all your athletic coverage. Nobody does it better.